Uh, 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 uh. Welcome to the Lakers Fast Break. I am not Gerald G. Glassford. I am Ox 1947. And yes, that kind of breakage of TV, like the old school tube TVs, there was a reason for it. If you were with us tonight on Discord, you would understand. And I'll just leave it at that. Oh wow, it just sounded like Gerald saying that. Anyways, we are here tonight at 8:54 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to celebrate another Utah Jazz victory in almost the same exact script of the last two. And the Lakers win 143 to 135. One of the worst defensive performances that you can imagine, as well as one of the worst free throw demonstrations by the Utah Jazz. But there is a reason. There is a reason, folks, why there's no D in Utah Jazz or Los Angeles Lakers. And you saw it tonight. But a win's a win, and we will take it. LeBron, I thought looked pretty spry. I think that time off was really, really good. Dropped 28, hit 12 of 13 free throws, got 10 assists, 6 rebounds. Actually, I'm sorry, 7 rebounds. Rui, normal role player mode, 13, hit some important shots, especially that 1-3 in the corner. Marcus Smart has been looking like Boston Smart since about 2021 when he won the Defensive Player of the Year. He dropped 17. And then Jackson Hayes doing Jackson Hayes things continuously, which is not missing any shots. Finally missed a free throw, but hadn't missed a shot from the field and is doing very, very well in his limited role. However, tonight's game ball goes to Mr. Luka Doncic, the Don. And he dropped, what was it, 45, 11, and 14, and was talking some smack to those in and around the Utah. I don't know if it was the press box area or was it the fans. I actually don't know, but Luka absolutely destroyed tonight, and it almost it felt like a kind of a quiet night, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. Was it just me, or did they sound quiet tonight, or did he sound quiet tonight? He hit 50% from the field. He kind of was slow getting out the gate from three, but he started making them towards the end, and just absolutely killed. And by the way, yeah, he also threw in a 5 steal mode as well in there. So very, 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 very good. Continuing his MVP ascent. I don't know what it's going to take to get there, but it's going to be games like this that are going to obviously help. So that's where we stand on that. Joe, let me see here. Somebody's already asking me questions. Joe, did this game convince you that the Lakers are winning the championships? Absolutely not. Not with that defense, because you are not going to play the Utah Jazz every game in the playoffs. If they were, then I'd say yes. But this is the third time they've played Utah where they've stunk to start the game, but ended up winning in the end. But all in all, it's not workable defense. These guys are going to need to find someone at the deadline to help them. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very difficult to beat anyone, especially a team like OKC, someone like Houston, who's got some legs on there that can play some defense. Lakers have a major hole in the defensive side, and they're going to need to fix it. However, it's important to look at 19-7 right now. Right now, imagine this: they're 19-7, and they're not really playing one part of the game. So this is still the Lakers, and there's going to be focus on trying to make sure that gets a little bit fixed. So I'm not too concerned. There's still a couple months until the deadline, but the Lakers have those issues. They're going to have to figure out what the hell they're going to do there. And that's just the facts of that. They're gonna need it. Honestly, I think they might need a couple guys to do that, but I don't know if it's going to take Rui to get traded somewhere to do that. Is it going to mean someone fortunately, who demands to get out and has a huge contract with somebody to get sent over to LA for expiring contracts and maybe a good draft pick. I just don't think the Lakers are going to trade that first pick in 31 for anything other than a star player. So that might be what's going to hold everything up. And that's just, I'm indifferent with that. I don't know if you can risk dropping another first round pick and not guaranteeing or almost guaranteeing a shot at winning a championship. Because even if they do get that player or players, you still don't know. It's just anything can happen, especially in the NBA right now. Let's see. I'm getting even more. Let's see. I don't think you have the proper authority to be giving that ball out, Joe. Sorry, but Bronny and Luka combined deserve that ball. That's an interesting take there, El Rosto. Don't ever tell me I am not proper authority, or I will take you down, baby. I will take you down to Chinatown. Lakers got lucky. Defense has to get better. I wouldn't say they got lucky. I'd say Jazz, just like in the previous two games, lost juice. Now they were still missing a lot of free throws. I think they missed, 17 free throws. Let me look here. 16 free throws. And that essentially lost them the game. If you really want to get technical, they hit almost 50% from three. They were, they weren't missing in the first half. Lakers shot almost 40. They were at 39 and made 13. Lakers were okay from the line, I guess. They hit from 82%. Everybody was pretty much 50% from the field. But tonight's game, if I had to put one thing to it, it was essentially the Lucas show, as well as the fact that the Jazz could make a free throw, and that was kind of the ending for them on that one. Let's see, where are we here? I got to catch up to some of your guys' stuff here. I watched again. See, I had completely forgotten about the game tonight. That's how bad the Thursday night games are. And I have a guy that was playing. I'm in the semifinals right now in my fantasy football league. So as of right now, what is it? The game is over, right? Because Seattle needed a score. And Seattle won. Holy shit. Damn, man, I missed it. They were down 37-30. And then it looks like they scored and hit the 2-pointer. Wow. I gotta get to the highlights of that after the show. See, guys, we are dedicated, even in games like that, that's a big win for Seattle. That could mean a division now. Imagine. That's a big, big win. Probably the biggest. No, it's not probably. That's the biggest win in Sam Darnold's career, right there. Right there. So congrats to Seattle. I think no matter how the division goes, I think Stafford probably wrapped up, unless he gets hurt, God forbid. I think Stafford locked up the MVP for the year with his performance tonight, based off the numbers I saw. Joe, what's the problem with this defense? It's every game. I don't understand. There's high school teams that play. Derek, they're not capable, my friend. They're just not. It's Luka is not really a strong defender. LeBron can't really play stout defense. Too many miles on those legs. Rui's not really a top-notch defender. He can play here and there, but not much. Jackson Hayes is limited to just basically the basket. He's not going to be able to guard anybody outside if they're going to the three. If they're moving around, he can get exploited with that. Kleber can't play defense. Marcus Smart can play a little defense, but he's really pretty much the only one. LaRavia isn't there as well. Obviously, Dalton Connect isn't there. Gabe Vincent, when he does play, is useless. And of course, Austin Reaves kind of suffers with focus on that as well. The Lakers absolutely need to get at least one, possibly two defenders at the deadline. I don't know how the hell they're going to do it, but that's the only way I think you're going to be able to at least play decent defense. I think they're ranked. Second to last in defense. By the way, that's how bad they are. That might not be true. That might one of the main categories of defense. I forgot. I heard it on the telecast tonight, but I totally forgot. Hey, Mark, what's up, bud? Good to see you, man. Good to type with you. Let's see here. What's JY? What's wrong with Gabe? No. And AR, they've been off since Saturday, Joe. AR's got a calf issue. So these days, when anybody has a calf issue, they get very, very scared that it might be something else. So Gabe, I don't even care. I honestly don't care. He might as well not play because he doesn't really play when he is on the court. So probably some mundane injury, like usual. Joe, if we get Giannis and Antetokounmpo, no wait, Antetokounmpo, I can never say it all the way through the correct way. I got to learn that one. I always call him Giannis. That would make us for sure title tender, right? I can't see how we couldn't if we got him because he would help on the defensive end tremendously. I believe the problem there, Derek, is there's not enough resources right now to get him, and if they did give up the limited amount of resources, it's not going to really be. You're essentially going to have Luka, LeBron, and him, and then no one else. And I just don't see. I don't see the Bucks taking what the Lakers have. Lakers don't have any assets. They barely have a. They have one draft pick. Really, they could get a third team in there, but I don't know if they can milk another. Maybe they'll be able to milk another first round pick out of that, but it's just not likely that the Bucks are going to just give up on Giannis with a couple. This is not going to be a Dallas Luka trade type thing. It's just not. That was that trade was done in such idiocy and such not being able to read the room. And I'm not blaming the GM on that one, by the way. I'm blaming the owner. That's the owner's fault. You can blame Nico all you want. The owners cleared that. They're the ones that deserve the disgust and the hate. Now they did get Cooper Flag, and Cooper Flag is going to be a stud. Again, knock on wood that he doesn't have any major injuries. He is going to be a perennial All Star and probably a future MVP. He is the truth. He is going to be him. He will be him. So they didn't just come out with nothing in that deal. It wasn't like Kareem going to LA and even to some degree the Gasol to the LA thing. At least the Grizzlies got his brother Mark, and he was an all star with that team as well. But getting Giannis, honestly, guys, I think you're gonna. I would prefer to wait because if you wait until 2027, and if there's some way you can convince Giannis to hang in there another year and a half, I don't know if it's possible. Uh, Somebody made a good point today on online. Does San Antonio and Oklahoma City really want to blow up what they're building in their places? And I sort of knew that. I sort of knew that in the back of my mind, but then a lot of times I'm like, well, wouldn't San Antonio want to just win a championship now instead of wait? Wait another 2-3 years. Go get Giannis, and then it's game over, right? But then again, maybe not. Maybe they're like, no, we're just going to keep building what we're building here, and we'll do our thing. Oklahoma City, same situation. You got the chumps across the way who are going to basically give them a top five, top three, maybe first overall pick for all we know. Why would they trade all that they have and all the chemistry that they have right now, all of them being champions, all of them being young, for Giannis? Why? They really don't need Giannis. They really don't, unless they got him for hardly anything, which would make sense, right? But I think Giannis should wait. I think he should wait a year and a half, and then the Lakers can kind of get this genie bus transition to Mark Walter thing done. And I think by then, a lot of the decision making will have benefited them to start putting something together that makes more sense. Then they go into the 27-28 season being perennial title contenders. We're not going to be sitting here going, are they title contenders? Are they going to really make it out there? We won't have to ask that question because Giannis, in my view, will still be young enough to give the Lakers at least 3 or 4 years of really, really good basketball. Luka will be well into his prime, well into maybe an MVP, and then who knows what we have around him. I don't know if Austin's going to be there. I don't know if they trade Austin for something else that would benefit them. Those are all the choices that the Lakers have right now, and they're good choices. They could have value in certain areas if they decide that that we think we can better the team by doing X or Z or Y or whatever it is that they end up doing. So I've been looking at 2027 as the summer of the Lakers, because the other part is, and we're going to know this obviously before the end of the 27 season, we're gonna know. Is Donovan Mitchell going to opt out? Is he going to sign an extension? Is he going to get traded? Is Jokic going to opt out? So the three names that kind of tickle my ear here a little bit is obviously Giannis. You have Jokic and you have Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is the youngest out of all of them too. Donovan Mitchell next to Luka is not bad from an offensive standpoint. I think that would be by far and away the best backcourt in the NBA. Problem is Donovan isn't really stout on defense either. So you're going to have to sort of make a decision on do you form a team in the backcourt, which will be probably actually I'm not even going to say probably Donovan Mitchell and Luka Doncic would be the number one backcourt in the NBA. But then that you would need the other three guys to be defensive stalwarts who could shoot. That's how that would all balance out because you at least want to have one guy that can play some defense when you're in the backcourt, right? If you look at some of the title teams that you've seen in the last few years, you always had a guy that was all offense and one guy that at least played a little defense. That's usually how it is. Sometimes you've gotten lucky and had both. But I would say the Lakers have. I wouldn't say no, Jones. Come on, really? Reeves is better than Mitchell? No, I don't believe that for a second. Let's see. They are Mormon, but search LOL, no S before marriage. Yeah, right. That's what they all say. Lakers cheerleaders to go on Ozempic. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Search, what are you doing over there? You should search yourself when you say stuff like that. Did you search yourself? Did you do it? Did you? Let's see here. What is your take on JJ's starting lineups and rotations so far? Well, I mean, he's doing his best, right? One guy's in, one guy's out. Two guys out, two guys in. How many games has this team had everybody healthy? Yeah, the Lakers won tonight without DeAndre Ayton. They won tonight without Austin Reaves. The last game, they didn't have Austin Reaves. How do you gauge any of this? They're winning games with guys missing. So that's probably the number one thing this year that has been very, very positive. And there's no denying it. They have won 19 out of 26 games. And I mean, what can you say? Hardly with anybody always into the lineup, whether on the bench or in the starting lineup. So they've dealt with the injuries, and they've still won, and they're on pace to win. What is this? 19 of 17. I think we're looking at close to high 50s in wins, and they had a rough schedule. They were on the road a lot, so they've really done a good job in terms of. I mean, shoot, they're on pace to win 60 games, guys. They're on pace. They're well over the quarter. They're well over a quarter of the season now. And they're on pace to win 60 games. I don't think they're going to win 60 games, but the point is they're 19-7, and they haven't really had a healthy team. I'm talking about LeBron was out for 15 games. Reeves, I think, has missed, a 6th game? Luka was out a lot. DeAndre's been out. Yeah. Rui's been out a few here and there. I don't know. I don't know if that will mean something down the road. Although they need at least one guy that you can stick the guy that's hot on. Just at least one. Marcus Smart is good, but I think Marcus Smart would look better, especially with his 3-point shot going in the way it is. I don't even remember him shooting like this in Boston. A lot of the reasons why they left was he got traded was because he was missing those shots when it mattered, right? But if they can get one guy, that can, at least you can stick on a prolific player. It's just going to be very difficult to keep winning 145 to 140 every game. So, Mr. Gerald Glassford has arrived.
What's up, my friend? Happy holidays to you and everyone out there. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the defensive slugfest that we saw today. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hey, Joe, when you practice all week and emphasize defense in your practices, don't you think that you'll at least get at least maybe just a tiny better effort on the defensive end, don't you think? Especially against a team that's not even a 500 team, Joe. I mean, seriously, right? Because that's what they were focusing on this week in practice.
I don't think they're capable. I don't know necessarily I don't think he could set up as many things as he wants. I just don't think this team has got the players to play defense other than maybe one, maybe two guys. So I don't think it matters. I mean, they'll practice it. They'll do their thing, but it's just not. I don't think it's realistic to think that somebody like Luka or LeBron or Laravia or Connect or any of these guys are ever going to be assets on the defensive end. So I at this point just get get as many wins as you can, and they've gotten a lot of wins. So we talked about the record. Remember, we talked about the records, right? I was hoping for when they started that road trip, November 20th. I'm sorry, when they had that homestand on the 25th, they had 4 games in a row at home, and then they had a road trip that would end in Utah because I didn't consider the game in LA. I considered that the break in the road trip. So I had hoped that they would go 3-1 and 4-2 during that stretch. And Gerald, lo and behold, that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. And if they're going to win like this with kind of a fragmented roster, there is a chance that maybe when they finally go, all right, we're in that position where we don't need to be cautious. It's time to get ready for the playoffs. Maybe team defense comes through. I know this is a different sport, and I know that the Dodgers are a different beast, but I can't make this mistake anymore. I have to kind of go with what may happen and may not happen. Almost got to be kind of an objective observer. But do you remember the 2006 Indianapolis Colts championship run?
Vaguely, but yes.
Okay, they had one of the worst, and this was the talk for the entire season. One of the worst defenses against the run. Who the hell's going to win a Super Bowl not being able to stop the run, right?
Yes.
Well, I know Bob Sanders came back at some point, and as soon as he did, they ended up going on a run and winning it all, right? And then you look at the Dodgers this year, they were horrid on the road all year, and we're talking about 6 months. Now, they did win 5 of the last 6 games on the road in their last 6 regular season games, but there was no way in a million years I would have been able. You would have predicted that all of a sudden this team is going to snap and win 7 of 8 on the road. Not only win 7 of 8 on the road, they won 2 in freaking Philly and 3 in Toronto. Never, not in a million years, I would expect it. So I am on record saying now I don't know what this team's going to be at the end of the year if they stay the same way. If they stay the same way, I still don't know. What if they are all healthy? And what if LeBron says, all right, I'm feeling really good because I've only been playing 30, 32 minutes this whole year. We got a 2 seed or a 3 seed. Hey, it's all good. Let's now put our foot down on the gas. I'm going to answer this question, and then I'll send it over to you as the captain again here, Gerald.
Well, no, I've got another question for you as well that was emailed in. So go ahead, take care of this one.
Okay, so Derek's been asking some good questions. I wanted to go ahead and answer them as well.
Sure, but Joe, I got someone that emailed a question for you. So
good deal. I'm looking forward to answering it. Joe, did you think they will be aggressive at the trade? Yes, absolutely. They have to be, and they may be aggressive now. As soon as the 15th of this month clocked in. I'm sure that there's been some discussions.
The NBA becomes eligible.
But you also have to understand that the NBA didn't do it. The NBA and the players didn't do anybody any favors by accepting that horrid CBA because they killed. I'm going to have to repeat this every time we talk about it. They killed the 2 areas of sports that the NBA owned. I'm talking not even baseball, as fun as that can be sometimes in July and August. NBA trade deadline and NBA free agency used to be the best part of sports, and they absolutely killed it, all in the name of parity, all in the name of socialism. So yes, they will answer that. So Gerald, go ahead and hit me with it.
Got a question from Rogelio, sent to our email, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Joe, with the NFL taking over Christmas with the streaming companies such as Amazon Prime and Netflix, do you think the NBA should move their Christmas games to Christmas Eve?
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
They won't, but yes,
Okay.
I would say yes. And I thought that was a dick move on the NFL's part. It reiterated how greedy they are. They
Mhm.
couldn't even be friendly with their own league brothers in America, right? So, but Adam Silver is kind of a pushover, and I used to give him the benefit of the doubt at the beginning of his career, where I said this guy is one of those guys that compromises. But then a little bit of my excitement too was the way he handled the Sterling thing. I thought, man, if Silver's going to be one of those guys that's got your back, from both sides, and he's able to be ruthless, woo! I remember the first 5 years of his tenure, I was very impressed with him, extremely impressed. COVID changed everything. COVID destroyed a little bit of his juice, and he hasn't really recovered in my view. So I'm not, and based off that, I'm not expecting him to do that. Although I think that would be a smart move. And maybe he might be looking at it as well. No, we're not going to do that because we're bigger men. I don't know. I don't know I don't know. But that's a great question. If you're watching, what's his name?
Who's that? Oh, Rogelio.
Rogelio. Yeah, Rogelio. If you're listening, I'm sure you are. Um, I think it would be a smart move if they did that. I don't see him doing it because I don't know what Adam Silver's doing anymore. I'm gonna be paying attention though. I'm gonna be paying attention on one thing now. It's been reported that he's gonna make a decision on expansion in 2026.
That's correct. That came up from his press conference that was done just before the NBA Cup final.
And if he is smart, there should not be any expansion. If he wants a team in Seattle, wants a team in Vegas, my advice would be to move an existing team to those places. I don't think I don't think Vegas needs basketball anyways. I think they're fine. Seattle has been begging for a team. I keep telling you guys, New Orleans, New Orleans, New Orleans. New Orleans needs to go. You tried it once, didn't work. Second time, it's not working. Trade everybody off that team. Joe Dumars is your GM. You know he's going to be good at screwing things up, and I hate to say that about Joe because he's a good guy. But get him in there, clear that shit out, and then start talking about moving that team out of there. Memphis is another team, by the way, that's least that runs out in 2029. That could be your backup as well if you're only going to move one team. My advice, and again, I know that these guys don't give a shit. They have their metrics, they have their analytics. They're going to know if they're going to make money or not. They probably will because of all the gambling. But as far as the quality of the game, which is what I care about, if you add two more teams to this thing, you are only going to dilute you're going to dilute the league even more than it already is, and we're going to be watching a lot more trash. Which the diehards are the only ones that suffer here. The people that are gambling, the people that are just casuals, don't give a shit. Which is what most of these leagues have catered to and don't give a shit about.
Once again, it is the Lakers winning 143-135. It is Joe Sorrell along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. A big shout out to Search and Xbox and everybody else in the chat. Truly appreciate you guys joining us. Fight on, Trojan. Fight on. Want to go ahead and make sure that you got a mention in there. Derek has been very active and truly appreciate it. Him being very active in the chat. Great questions. the question is, remember, as was mentioned by Rich Paul, and one of the few things that I agree with Rich Paul on is the fact that the Lakers were on two timelines to make the team competitive now, but to also make sure they've got plenty of cap space in the following summer, possibly 2 summers down the road, so that they can look to build a team in Luka's image a little bit more closely, per se. Whether or not they go ahead and are active, aggressive, all depends. If they sit down, they have to honestly, Joe, sit down and say, how close are we to OKC? I think that's the message and the question that they need to. How close are they to teams like Houston? How close are they to teams like Denver? How close are they to teams like OKC? Could San Antonio, after what we saw last week, could they even beat the Lakers in a 7-game series? They have to start asking themselves these questions, because if the answer is there's a wide gap, in their opinion, then they will probably not be able to make as many trades as people would like that will close that gap up, because the Lakers need multiple 3 and D players, not just one, not just Herb Jones. They need multiple 3 and D players. They need a deeper bench. They need more players to be able to go ahead and contribute on both sides of the ball, Joe. And a lot of that was apparent tonight when we watched them play the Jazz.
Seeing how things are playing out so far, I'm not too concerned of really any team except Oklahoma City. If Oklahoma City is healthy and able, I don't think it matters. Even if the Lakers did get a couple of 3 and D guys, you would need.
Now, if SGA gets an injury, everything is up in arms.
Right, and that's why you have to play. You have to play, especially with the way things have played out. You have to play to see how things play out. And analytics have taken an interesting turn in modern sports, even more so than maybe even 10 years ago. Every decade, it's kind of improved. Some of the statistics that we grew up, because technically, if people don't think about this because we're so used to it. Analytics has always been there. That's what points, rebounds, assists are, right? That's how we based a contract by, and how great an all-star is, and how great an MVP is. So those are analytics. It's just that advanced analytics took over the last 20 years. And the reason why it became popular in baseball is because baseball is a numbers game, and it became more beneficial for a lot of these teams that couldn't spend a lot of money to at least still win and be competitive. And that was a good thing for that sport. In basketball, I don't think it's that important in a lot of ways, except when you talk about, let's say, point differential type stuff. Right now, the Lakers are only 1 point, basically just under 2 points.
Well, the metrics have them like, if you based it just off the metrics, Joe, they would be actually a 14-win team, I think is what it equated out to. So they're playing above the means. I mean, they're undefeated in clutch games. Sometimes these clutch games, Joe, are caused by the Lakers giving up their fourth quarter double-digit leads. And, like tonight, this is not uncommon, Joe, where the Lakers get up by a double-digit lead. They relax. The other team comes back, pulls within 3 or 2, and the Lakers pull it out in the end, causing these clutch games that we're talking about here.
Well, an amazing stat that we haven't talked about yet is 12-3. That is a crazy stat. That is the road record. That's 15 road games, guys. They've only played 26 games, and they've already been on the road 15 times. And technically, this next game is a road game. So if they beat the Clippers, which I believe they will, they're likely going to be 13-3 on the road. That's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that kind of starts to bring some of those weird statistics that aren't kind of siding with you in terms of the long run, saying, look, if you're able to handle road wins like this, and they didn't just win on the road in Utah, right? I mean, they have. I think this is their second win in Utah, which, geez, I can't remember the last time they won both games in Utah in the same year. That That was amazing, right? When they were down in this game and they just seemed like they weren't going to catch up. I didn't feel that way too either, by the way, for the record. I didn't feel like the game was ever out of hand, but I felt like it would be fitting, right? Because that's what we're used to
Well,
seeing
we've
them.
seen this before, Joe,
Right.
where they get up and then they just, we're good, and then
Well,
they take their foot
and
off the
that
gas.
that was the theme of Utah this year so far. They're not going to see Utah, I think, until the last game of the year, right? So they
Yes.
pretty much they're done with Utah for a while. But Utah was the same script in all three games. Utah went crazy, and then they came back slowly, slowly, slowly. This one was the kind of the slowest one that they had, and then that was it. And again, Utah did them a favor. They couldn't hit free throws at all. Had they hit half of what they missed, they likely would have won the game. However, they are playing extremely well on the road. They've won in Utah. They've won in Phoenix, which was a kind of probably in my view, probably the most like ragtag game of the year for them, where they just kind of grinded it out. The win in Philly was really good. The win in Toronto was awesome. Then it's these are the games that champions win, and we have to wait. We have to wait. I'm not worried about Denver, and I'm not worried about Houston. I'm not worried about Minnesota. I'm not worried about anybody. They could lose to those guys in the playoffs. They could, but I am not afraid of them. If the Lakers are on, not on like if they play really good offense, defense, and like that's obvious. If everybody plays their game, of course they're going to win. My thing is if they're on in terms of they're healthy, and you have Luka and LeBron playing comfortably with Austin and all those guys playing their game, it's going to be very competitive. Where it won't be competitive, no matter how good they play, unless Luka goes nuclear, this is the other part of this. Luka is the wild card here. If Luka decides he's going to drop 45, 12, and 12 in a playoff game, that is a different feel than it is in Utah tonight. He's dropping 45, 12, and 12 in a playoff game. They're probably winning that game.
Well, it's great that, Utah had someone out there on the front row talking smack to Luka, because
Stupid.
you could clearly see he was ticked off and talking smack to someone.
Yeah, because he kept yapping about him flopping, and I'm not going to argue against it. By the way, I thought Luka was whining way too much. Actually, he said whining, not flopping. He was whining way too much at the beginning of the game. He needed.
That's what he does, though.
The fan was right. But then at the same time, say that to yourself. Don't I didn't brag it, right? Not that I was, obviously I wasn't there, but I didn't say anything about it because you cannot get Luka. Luka is one of those guys. Don't piss him off. The guys like Luka, guys like Kobe, guys like Jordan, you cannot piss those guys off. Oh my God, Shaq. If you piss those guys off, they're going to destroy your ass. And Luka pretty much needed that little needling, and there you are. 40-point triple-double.
45 points for him, like you said, triple-double, 5 steals. Biggest stat, I think, Joe, 14 assists to 1 turnover. LeBron James, 10 assists and 28 points, 7 rebounds, only 2 turnovers. So between those two guys, because remember the other day in that loss, I think they had 14 turnovers combined.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it was only 3.
And I want to give props.
Huge stat, Joe.
Yeah, and I want to give props to LeBron. I thought tonight's game might have been his best game of the year based off the minutes he played, how well he shot from the free throw line. He was 12-13. And the way his energy was from getting rebounds, getting to the other side of the court, going to the basket. I not shooting dumb shots. Tonight's game, in my view, was the best game LeBron has played this year. It was efficient. It was lethal. It was beautiful to watch. And the funny thing is he was -7 plus minus tonight with all that, which is, I think the plus minus thing might be the worst analytical stat.
Luka was -5.
Yeah, it's probably the worst. I think that one is probably the worst one because I know what I saw. We know what we saw. There is no way that those guys should have anything negative towards a game like this where they were efficient and played with absolutely immensely high IQ. And if they don't win this game. Not even close.
Did want to mention your thoughts on this. You and I have been pretty critical of Jared Vanderbilt uh, throughout much of the past calendar year. He was in the doghouse, got several DNPs, coaching decisions, and then was brought back into the rotation because, as we've talked about before, JJ, just like every NBA coach, if he's got something that's not working when concerning the bench, especially the fact that the Lakers do not have the greatest bench in the world, you got to try everyone once, twice, three times. And we saw him go back to Vanderbilt in recent games with some success. And today, Joe, 7 points, got a three-pointer, 11 rebounds, but 5 of them were on the offensive end. And I know that makes El Rosto happy, a big supporter of Jared Vanderbilt, because when Jared Vanderbilt's out there giving that kind of effort, it can keep him in the game, Joe.
With DeAndre Ayton not playing, he obviously got some good time there.
Kleber
Still,
did too. I got to give Kleber
Kleber.
tried hard.
I've been
Chiota.
more critical with Kleber than I have been with Jackson Hayes. When you're paying a guy that does what he does for what, $1 million, $2 million. My only I guess gripe with Jackson Hayes was more towards the fact that he's exploited when it matters, and that's the only shitty part about his game is he's great during the regular season. He's great in spurts, obviously, and that's his game. Kleber, I'm not a fan of his game, but he had a good game tonight to a degree. I thought that block, yeah, Search. I thought that block was in a lot of ways a momentum changer at that moment of the game because it looked like the Jazz were starting to make a run, and that block kind of helped kind of stymie that a little bit. The role players are doing a great job. Hayes isn't missing shots, which is amazing, great, and thankful. By the way, he was a -10, and his energy is great. His highlights, he almost had another highlight reel tonight with that missed dunk. He got grabbed by the arm by, I can't remember who it was. Was it Collier? I don't know. I can't remember if it was Collier,
Mhm.
but he was about. And by the way, amazing pass by Luka. Luka would have had 15 assists if he didn't get fouled. But would you say that Jackson Hayes is the center equivalent of Shannon Brown?
Yeah, although Shannon Brown did develop some type of outside game, but Jackson Hayes, again, he's very one dimensional, Joe. And as long as you're feeding into that one dimension, he can really give you something, at least in limited minutes. Was that stat correct that he all time, or was it just as a Laker he is perfect for the field against the Utah Jazz?
I saw 25 of 25.
So, and whether that's Lakers or overall, that's again, that's it's perfect. He's never missed a shot against the Utah Jazz, which tells you, you have to get him in the right spots for him to execute. He's not going to be able to give you mid range or anything like that. You have to get him in the pick and roll. You have to get him on the fly. You have to get him to where he can go ahead and wind up and send it home. And as long as you're doing that, you can get him involved in the game. It gets him more attentive and focused on the defensive end, which is where we need him the most, and be able to be that 7-foot rim protector that gives you 15 minutes of good defense on the end. Didn't quite work out on that end tonight because, as you know, they gave up 78 points in the first half. But still, as a guy who's running that pick and roll on that offensive end, the Lakers are finding him and also DeAndre Ayton quite a bit, as far as both of them are right up there as far as in the league lead with lobs. So that tells you all you need to know about how they're setting those two up in the half court.
Yeah, to answer Derek's comment about Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent,
It was very descriptive, I'll say that.
yeah, it's luckily for us, Gabe Vincent's going to be done at the end of the year at worst. And Vanderbilt, I think I think JJ's done a really good job in terms of holding these guys accountable in terms of playing the game the way he needs them to play. I think Vanderbilt looked like he was trying his rear end off tonight. Really, really trying. Not that he didn't try before, but at some point you got to start bringing value. And it's just hard for him to bring value every time he's out there in some way. At some point, with skills like that, with the physical skills he has, there's got to be some basics that are consistent game in and game out. I'm not expecting Vanderbilt to hit threes. He hit one today and he started getting happy shooting and he missed the next two, right? Wide open, by the way. I'm not expecting him to hit those shots, and that's just something I have to live with. But handling the ball, getting the rebounds, playing good defense, those are fundamental things. Those are things that you're physically able to do. The only thing that's going to keep you from doing that is, are you focused enough? Is your focus in terms of competing? I used to make fun of this comment until recently and I think the reason why I did it was because I was kind of being a jerk. I knew what they meant, but it still bothered me. But you know how when analysts would say, this guy is a competitor. Like, well, no shit, he's a competitor. He's playing sports for a living, right? I think I just got tired of the cliche. But what that means is there's a really, really clear difference between someone who's really competing versus someone who's not competing. And then in the middle of that, and it can go either way, it could be a guy that doesn't look like he's competing, that is completely cerebral, completely in it. Tim Duncan made that an art form, right? And then you had the Vanderbilts who he tries, and I think he's focused, but it's still, there's a missing piece in between reaction and execution. That's his game. And unfortunately, the Lakers have him signed beyond this year, so there's not going to be an end to this unless he's part of a package. And most people are not going to really give you anything for him because of the reasons we just said. It's likely gonna JJ's gonna likely have to play his spots, figure out when he can use them, when he can't use them. I'm sure he's gonna have to prepare to not be able to use them in the playoffs, just like he's not gonna be able to use Jackson Hayes other than to spell DeAndre Ayton, which even in that case, I think the Lakers are gonna run small ball at that point. I think they're gonna put in LeBron at the center position. I know that's kind of scary, but that's what they'll do. Since you do have Luka and you would have Austin Reaves, you'd have Marcus Smart and then probably Rui, right? Depending on the lineups that they play against. So it's JJ has done very, very well. I'm very happy with what he's done so far. Winning does that. When you're winning like this, when you're winning on the road, there's a message that's going on because these guys, it's Gerald, it's the same team, right? Other than, I mean, you put Luka in there, but I think they're connecting with him. I think they're listening to him, even with the fact that they're not getting what they want. That's what's good. Bill Parcells was really good at that. Basically, being blunt and telling you, hey, you stink right now, get this thing fixed. And guess what? I guess the program changes for the better. And the wins prove that. And they got 2 wins in Utah. That's a medal in my book. If you've been a Laker as long as we've been Laker fans, we have gotten so used to Utah, Denver, Atlanta still hasn't changed. The Lakers have lost half their games in Atlanta since the turn of the century. So we're so used to the constants, right? But this is not the constant. This is cool that they've gone into Utah twice and beaten them there. That's a good thing. And Utah has a damn good team too, by the way, guys. They're up and coming. They're gonna be a problem if they keep building the way they're building. So enjoy what's going on right now. I'm going to try to enjoy it. And I am. I again, when LeBron is engaged, like he is engaged tonight, it's very fun to watch LeBron James play. It's really fun. I really like LeBron James when he's like this. I really do. And I only wish it could be more consistent and there wasn't any distraction off the court. But I guess we got to get used to that. But I'm hoping that LeBron, with what looks like becoming, it's a little, maybe a few more minutes above what I would like him to play. But I know because of the injuries, plus he did miss the first 15 games. So that kind of maybe gave him a little bit more leeway to maybe play a little bit more. But my thing is, the end game here is the Lakers want to get to the end of the year, very, very likely that they want at least 2 or 3 so they can have home field. Hopefully, obviously, they'll have one in the first round. And I don't know if they'll likely get it in the second, because I think if Denver gets the 2 or if Houston gets the 2, they're going to be pretty formidable. And I think they'll win their games. But there's going to be this, hey, man, we're healthy, and LeBron might be able to turn it on. And I know that's asking a lot for a 41-year-old, but he could. If he does it, then a lot of the crazy, crazy career that he's had that's already amazing, could it go another level? No one wants me. No one wants LeBron to be great again, to win a title more than me, because I'm a Laker fan. He's a Laker player. If LeBron goes apeshit and helps this team win a championship this year, I'm going to be the first to congratulate him and thank him for being him. And that's it. It comes down to winning, guys. It comes down to competing and not being a distraction. We all know that you can't win every year, but there's a clear difference when someone's giving it their all and not having any distractions and going after it and losing with some pride and some honor. It's very clear in my view. If the Dodgers hadn't won the World Series this year, I'm already told Empire Jeff, I was like, man, I'm really proud of this team, even though it kind of sucks right now that it looks like they may not make it. But I'm proud of them, because it's very hard in baseball nowadays. It's not what it used to be. It's not going to the championship series and then going to the World Series. These guys played in a stupid wild card game. Then they played in the NLDS. Then they played in the NLCS. Then they played in the World Series. And then that was after they had played, that won the championship last year. And they went through all these injuries. Like, you know, if you're going to be a fan with some humility and some common sense, even if they don't win, you got to be able to recognize what and where and why. The disappointment was there. Don't get me wrong. But when you let it settle a little bit, when you calm down, you still go, you know what, man? But these guys are still human beings, and it just wasn't working out at that time. And you got to understand that. I didn't understand it during the season, but I started understanding it towards the end when it was finishing. I was like, I'm still proud of this team no matter what happens, and I want to be proud of LeBron and his career as a Laker. I mean, I would just love to brag. Believe me when I say this, I would love to brag that LeBron James is a multiple Laker champion. 2 championships in 8 seasons. I think there was some things left there due to some bad decisions by executives. Again, LeBron's people played a part in that. But if you go back 8 years and say, Joe, LeBron James is going to play more. He's going to double his time in LA than he was in Miami. And he'll start to creep up to Cleveland, but he won't. He only played in Cleveland 11 years. But he's going to win more championships in LA than he did in Cleveland. I would take that and an extra $100 any day of the week.
There you go. But great crowd tonight. Truly appreciate you guys joining us. Once again, the Lakers win 143-135. They are tied for third place in the Western Conference. I wanted to give a big couple shout outs to DBSH, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, he said the wrong LA team lost tonight, but he said go Lakers and go Rams. Obviously upset at the Seattle squeaking out in overtime, the victory 39-38, I believe, over the Los Angeles Rams. A great game, though. It's a great game to watch as an NFL fan. I'll just leave it at that. But El Rosto said, go on record and put your name on how many wins we've finished with this year. He's also got the super chat, and truly appreciate El Rosto putting it out
55.
there. I'm going to say 52. I still think the Lakers are a third to fifth place team in the Western Conference. So I'm going to say 50 to 52 is where I'm going right there.
Yeah, I would have probably went low 50s, maybe uh, a few weeks ago. But we're talking about a team that's just winning on the road a lot.
If they
And
stay healthy, though, these other teams, the way that they rest their stars, could find
and here
themselves
I'll
in
put
that
it
45-win
I'll
range.
put it in perspective here too. So any NBA in an 82 game season, anything's possible, right? If they win the next two games on the road, one in LA against Clippers, which I believe they should win, and they beat Phoenix again, uh, they're not going to be back on the road until January 6th, and then they play New Orleans and then San Antonio, right? So
Mhm.
let's say they split that, and then a few games later they end up in Sacramento, and then 5 days after that they're in Portland. You're talking about
Those
a
are all
team.
very winnable games.
Right. So you're talking about a team that might possibly let's say this. Let's say they win tomorrow. I'm sorry, they win Saturday, and now they're 13-3. Then let's say they lose in Phoenix and they're 13-4, right?
Mhm.
Then when January 6th hits, let's say they beat New Orleans. Now they're at what, 14-4? Lose to
Mhm.
San Antonio, 14-5, and then Sacramento and Portland, you're looking at 16-5. You're talking about 21 games. Half of the road games now are done at that point. Like you've played half of the road games and you're sitting at that kind of a record. That's why I think 55 might be possible, especially if the Lakers are going to continue to win games with guys not playing, their main guys. LeBron not playing games, Austin not playing games, DeAndre Ayton not playing games, and they're still winning games on the road with those guys not there. That that's because uh, their kryptonite this year is young teams, and Utah's those guys, but I don't think they have enough juice for 4 quarters. At least they haven't shown it. Their kryptonite is young, very young players that can run for 48 minutes and make shots for 48 minutes. Utah can do all that, but they keep running out of gas in the fourth. That's where that is.
I did want to mention, yes, you could try to find a way. I think who was it that said this about yeah, Allen? Could the math work? We trade for Herb Jones and give Dalton Connect, who looked great in his G League debut the other night, 30 points, but emphasis there, G League in the second year. And Mr. Cardio, which I'm assuming he means Gabe Vincent. Yeah, the math could work. Actually, you'd have to tweak it a little bit more, add a couple players in on the, or a player in on the Houston, on the New Orleans side. But yes, you could make the math work on that. But again, Herb Jones, it's not about the players and expiring contracts. It's about are you willing to part with a first round pick? And if you get Herb Jones, does he bridge the gap between what the Lakers are now and OKC and Denver and Houston? And I don't think that Herb Jones alone is going to do that. So you give up your first round pick, your only first round pick, Alan. You better make sure it's going to bridge that gap for you. Otherwise, you're out one pick. And the thing is, the Lakers on draft night next summer could have, for a brief period of time, 3 first round picks to play with. So, do you save it for that? Or do you go ahead and blow your first round pick, your only first round pick that you can actually move outside of swaps, mind you? And with Luka, those swaps probably won't be the greatest as far as it's concerned. So yeah, I mean, you could, but is Herb Jones going to be the answer for it? Because the Lakers need more than just Herb Jones to bridge that gap, in my opinion, Joe.
My I believe the only way you get Herb Jones without giving up draft capital and needing a third party, and maybe they still do a third party just to find someone that could throw more second round picks, maybe.
Because the
Uh,
Lakers don't have second rounders either.
yeah, the Lakers would have to take on, in my view, and again, this is going to likely have to include Rui. No, not likely. It will include Rui, which I'm not against, but you're probably going to have to take on Jordan Poole's contract.
Yeah, that throws everything out of whack. Yeah, sorry.
So let's look at
That would be a non-starter for me, Joe.
well,
I'm
let's
sorry
look
right
at
there.
let's look at that from a necessity standpoint. You essentially give up Rui for Herb Jones when it's all said and done. Does Jordan Poole add any punch off the bench that would be better than what Gabe Vincent can give you based off what he's been doing the last year?
Not for
Or
31 million. Not for
no, not at all.
32
No,
million.
no, not at all. However, you have to understand, I'm looking at this from a different area. I'm looking at this from because now you also have to look at, are you feeling, I'm not advocating for this trade, by the way. I'm trying to look at a trade that would limit the issue of draft capital. And for New Orleans to make a trade that extensive in terms of it going one way, we have to take on a contract. We, as in the Lakers. Is Herb Jones not next level talent that's amazing? No. Is he the cog? Is he the Trevor Ariza? Can he be that guy? He's going to be better than any defender we have. That's for sure. And he's going to be someone that has talent on the offensive end too, especially if you have LeBron and Luka throwing to him when it's open, right?
But it's not
So,
going to close that gap enough. And the fact is, if you have to take on Poole's contract for 32 million this year and 30 some odd million next
well,
year,
so the following year after this year, you are looking at a valued contract. Should you go and need to go trade somebody for something, right? It's expiring contracts that are 30 mil have value.
you'll have to give up like 4 players to get him, to get this deal done. 4 players to 2 players because there's just such a disparity. And
So then that see, and the reason why I picked the reason why I picked Jordan Poole is because DeJounte Murray is, I think he's got a qualifying offer in 2028. I think. Let me see here.
by the way, going to go ahead and reach out. Well, I'll let you finish that because Robert.
Okay, so he has a player option, which is what is the likelihood of him opting out in 2027? I don't know.
Not because remember he's coming off an Achilles. He still hasn't come back to the lineup.
Yeah,
yet, so
right. Maybe it's not that likely then. The Lakers are going to have to. Okay, here. The easiest way I can put this is you're a genius if it works, and you're a dummy if it doesn't work. There is no middle ground on this deal. The reason why you make it you eat something here in this deal is if you really believe you can get one guy or maybe two if you do another deal to where you can solidify that defensive part just a little bit. If we can just be able to stop teams here and there, not just have them railroad us the whole time and have to outscore them, then maybe there's a shot because you still have Luka. Luka is a problem, guys, in those moments when these guys are all playing well in the regular season, yeah, but people's sphincters shrink in the playoffs, and we have one of those guys who doesn't shrink.
Well, if you want defenders and more athleticism, there's very little of it as far as in other places that you could look at that is probably gettable. But there is one place that might want to listen to you, and that's where we're headed to next as far as Saturday. And Robert, yes, I do have your question on cue coming up for you in a sec. But Joe, I mean, if you're not able to get the Herb Jones that you want because the asking price is too high or too much or too many players need to be involved, you might want to look over to Inglewood because they do have Derek Jones Jr. They do have Chris Dunn. Those two are much cheaper to get than, let's say, involving a Jordan Poole in there. Athletic defenders. I mean, not bad contracts, not horrible contracts out there, but they are, guys. You probably have to be stuck with a Brook Lopez contract on top of it, but even that, you could still make a trade work between those guys. So, hopefully, we can get Joe back here in a second. So, just that, guys. So just think about that, guys. So, just throwing that out there again. I don't know if the Clippers would even be part of it, or Lakers would even do it. It's not the changeover thing, but it does help improve your defense and overall depth if you were to get those guys over some expiring contracts. So that's something to think about there, Joe. But again, it's not; those are not a world. That's not a world beater trade in and of itself as well. But I did want to go ahead and get to Robert Wheeler's question. Let me go ahead. Joe, the Lakers are 9-0 this season in games decided by. I love how he points out to just you, Joe. 5 points or less. Do you think the Lakers have the best closing lineup in the league with the game on the line with 5 minutes to go? If not, who is? My answer is that stat is very misleading because most of those games have been where the Lakers have given up a double digit lead and have had the lead reduced to 5 points or less in clutch time. So a lot of that is the Lakers not executing well, in the fourth quarter as much as they need to be. But the Lakers do have a pretty good closing lineup. But I would still put Denver right now with Jokic and Murray slightly ahead of the Lakers unless they can go ahead and find someone else that can help them play on the defensive end. Joe, still with me here? You looks like you're frozen, Joe. Joe, we lost Joe again. Sorry about that. Again, we'll try to get him back. But once again, it is the Lakers fast break. The Lakers do win 143 to 135. Yes, so that's a very misleading stat, Robert, because you got to remember that the Lakers have lost at least 3 or 4 of these games as far as the leads that they had in double digits. And then it got down to a like tonight, for instance, tonight. So no, right now that they don't have the best uh, clutch team out there. But Joe, do you think the Lakers have the best closing lineup when the game is on the line with 5 minutes to go? If not, who is? I said Denver, but I think the Lakers have a good one, but they need more on the defensive side before I would be convinced to commit to that.
I don't.
I know Robert didn't ask me, but I'm going to give my opinion anyways. Since
I don't. I've liked how they've closed out games, even when they didn't relinquish the lead late or relinquish the larger lead.
Mhm.
I thought the Toronto game was a really really nice game, and getting a feel for what we've been wanting this team to finish those games with, which is wide open shots, makeable shots. I'm I think they're executing the tighter games at the end of the games better, but terribly when they have the lead. That seems to be a theme in the NBA though now because of the three-point shot and just how quickly and we forget also guys, the I haven't talked about this and I don't know why it just hit me. When they changed the clock from 24 to 14 when you miss a shot, that's changed the game a lot. You can't hold. Remember when you would get an offensive rebound, let's say you shot it at 23 seconds, and then by the time the ball gets to the rim, you've killed 24 seconds plus however long it takes for that thing to bounce off and to get into the hands of your offensive rebounder. Now that clock would go another 24 seconds and then you'd hold it, right? That changed the NBA, and I can't believe it didn't hit me till recently. That has changed. That was done to speed up the game even more. That plays a part in urgency. That plays a part in why these leads are not safe. That plays a part on why fourth quarter sit downs are just not the norm anymore, unless you have immense talent, immense depth like Oklahoma City. But not a lot of teams have that. They can't because salaries are usually allocated to 2 stars on each team. Usually each team has a couple stars. Hell, a third guy can have 30-40 million dollars in his pocket as well per year. So the depth part is just not there for a lot of these teams. Therefore, and the time is sped up. So now you're not having that. You miss a shot. Now these guys are not thinking when they're shooting anymore. They're like, hey man, we gotta get this thing going and we got to start making shots. And that's what happens. A lot of their worry is gone because they're like, well, we got nothing to lose but to try to come back from 15 with 5 minutes left, because if we don't just keep popping threes and making this quicker, it's not going to happen. I don't know. And even if you run the clock down, right, and you get a shot down low to DeAndre Ayton, he's going to give you 2 points, and then the other team's going to go hit a three. They've already won a point on you with that, right?
Yes.
And then you go back, you miss the next shot, they hit another three. Now it's 6-2 in the last 3 possessions. That's what the NBA has become. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've sped the game up, not only because of size and speed and just overall game, overall philosophy, but the clock has moved up quicker. We're talking 10 seconds. We're talking about the 24-second, I'm sorry, the half court clock as well moved forward. Right?
Yes.
What was the old one? Do you remember? How much time could you go across? It was 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was 10, but then it became 8.
Then it became 8. So now, you're talking about a total of 12 seconds that's been sped up. That's been sped up per series. So the second you get the ball after a team scores, let's say, or you're inbounding from your side of the court to although not more often than not, they don't take the ball out from there even on a timeout. But once the team scores, now you have to get that ball over that line, over the half court line, 2 seconds faster. Then you're running, and then you got to make the shot. You got to make the shot. If you miss it and get the rebound, now it's 10 seconds gone from that. So 12 seconds. If you extrapolate that, I haven't done the math now since this thing kind of just dawned on me. 12 seconds. Imagine that in those possessions. How much time has been sped up? How much time, if you had those statistics, did a team have set up to where they didn't have to worry about being in a hurry and not worrying about getting outscored with 2-3 minutes left? Just yeah, those are some of the details that have come up, and the Lakers don't have the depth.
Let me just say this. I know that a lot of talk is out there
Yeah.
about Herb Jones. I apologize for interrupting. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. I've been saying it since the summer, guys. In fact, Joe hit me up to this question in the summer. If there's any, because he didn't think there was anybody that the Lakers could trade for. He said, if there's one, where would you like to trade? And I said Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. But why on earth, Joe, if we're running a team, would we trade to relatively, even with their when their extensions kick in, relatively good value contracts for players just entering their prime? Guess who they're actually going to focus on trading, Joe? That's Zion. That is the big salary that they need to move as soon as possible, along with Jordan Poole, DeJounte Murray, those contracts as well. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, outside of Fears and Queen, would be the ones contracts I would be inclined to try to keep unless I get a really sweet offer.
I think it's too drastic a trade, even if the Lakers wanted to risk seeing if this guy would. Does this guy see? Mark Aguirre wasn't a bad player, right? Before he went to Detroit, he did run into the wall there, right? In Dallas in the 80s.
Mhm.
He got traded to Detroit, right? But he wasn't Zion bad though. You knew that if you got Mark Aguirre, as the Pistons were in that, we're one guy away from finally getting past this team now, right? To win a championship. It's not a good comparison. Rasheed Wallace was never bad either, other than his technical issues, but his game was awesome and he was a great team player. Who can we compare
With
this
him
to?
and Robert Horry, I just think they left something on the table. I just thought those two were so talented, they could have done more, I think.
So Robert Horry gets traded to LA in 1997 for Cedric Sabalos, who had just taken a vacation in the middle of the year for no reason. It's hard to compare that because Robert Horry, I think Phil Jackson shares your sentiment in terms of Robert Horry, your description of him. Because when Robert Horry found out that Phil Jackson was going to be the coach, Robert Horry listens to everything, by the way. Robert Horry is like that, right? And I like Robert Horry. Love Robert Horry. Very transparent guy.
Very, very transparent
We
guy.
love Robert Horry, by the way. We love Robert Horry. I love Robert Horry forever. Robert Horry was worried that Phil Jackson wouldn't want him. And a lot of the reasons why Phil Jackson didn't like Robert Horry is for the same things you just said. Robert Horry left things on the table with the amount of talent he has. How many 6'10 guys? And guys, this is a man that could shoot in the 90s at 6'10. He was an anomaly at that time. He could shoot, but he was lazy. He was lazy. He was a more balanced Lamar Odom. What I mean by balance is Lamar had some mental problems, upbringing, trauma, that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
People wanted Lamar Odom to be the next Pippen, but he never was ever going to be that guy. He didn't have the mentality for that. A lot of people wanted Robert Horry to be a perennial all-star because he was lanky, he could shoot, he could play defense, he was an amazing team basketball player. But he never could do it 82 games in a season. He was the guy that did it in the clutch. He was just a clutch player. LO was the guy that wanted to be the third guy. He didn't want to be the second guy. The third part was what he wanted to be, and that's where he flourished. So comparing those guys is hard because those guys weren't. They still had proved something before they got traded. Zion has proved nothing. If you make that trade, which is going to be even harder to do because you're not just going to get Zion, right? You'd want to get Herb Jones. Problem is, you're going to need $52 million of contracts to get him, right? And then you'd have to hope and pray that Zion is going to be focused and healthy. If he's focused and healthy with Luka and LeBron, if, and that is a horrible if, you would have to have him play out of his mind like he's never played out of his mind before. Zion Williamson playing out of his mind, playing OKC with LeBron being healthy and Luka playing Luka ball. Now you have a very interesting matchup.
Because I think Zion is the player that come trade deadline from the New Orleans, unless you're actually asking for Poole or Murray to take on those contracts. But Zion is the contract, I think, that New Orleans, a very much known cheap franchise, Joe.
Here's the thing.
That's the
so
one they want to
you
take.
brought
That's
it
the one
up.
I'm gonna
So
say.
you brought it up. So I'm gonna play this out. The problem with getting Zion is he isn't done until 2028, which is a year after the timeline. I have no doubt that the LA Laker timeline is the summer of 2027. Donovan Mitchell's has a choice of being a free agent. Jokic is going to have a choice of being a free agent. And if Giannis doesn't sign an extension, if any of these guys don't sign an extension, he can opt out of his deal. I'm sorry, guys, but if these guys' agents are feeling something, imagine us. We're just doing a podcast here for the Lakers. You're telling me that these guys' agents don't know this? They know this for sure. Okay. Imagine this. There's a slot, a max slot waiting in LA for these guys. And not only that, to go play with Luka Doncic in his prime and with the Mark Walter group, likely have built a team around that in the next 18 months, a good team. And then they're going to be drafting well too. That's why sending out draft picks is going to be a delicate thing, because you're not going to have to worry about Big Ten Rob anymore. You're not going to have to worry about jilted bus brothers making choices or not making choices. And you're definitely not going to have to deal with Genie having any call in that. You are going to have, within the next few months, year, by the end of that next draft in 2027, you're going to have a fully fledged operation that knows exactly how to do their scouting and knows exactly what they're going to do in the draft. If you don't believe me, all you got to do is watch what this is something that non-Dodger fans don't know. Most people are in denial of it, actually. They do know, but they're in denial. Everyone thinks that the Dodgers just buy what they want. The Dodgers arguably have the best farm system on top of that. Oklahoma City is basically doing what the Dodgers are doing right now. They're winning. They have stars on there, stars that are in the making, and they have really, really good assets and really, really, really good draft futures. So there is no salary cap in terms of scouts, facilities, amenities, culture, none. Mark Walter and the Guggenheims are going to put together one of the best front offices on the planet, not just in basketball, on the planet for the Lakers. And you damn well better believe there are the agents out there and the players that want that stage and to play with Luka. Everyone wants to play with Luka. I don't care what anybody says. Luka's the guy.
I'm going
Do
to
they
say
risk it? Do they risk it? No, I don't think they risk it. I don't think there's any chance of Zion coming to LA. They're not going to risk that, because if his contract ended in 2027, maybe there's something there, but not even then. I don't think they would do it, because if that thing goes belly up, they're jacked. What they're going to try to do is they're going to try to get at least two guys that can D up. If they don't get those guys, they're going to roll with what they're going to roll with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if Herb Jones and Trey Murphy became available tomorrow, the Lakers don't have the assets compared to other teams. There's teams in the East, teams in the West that have more assets that would love a chance to get those guys, especially entering their prime. Tonight, if you look at the game and you look at the box score on what those two guys did tonight against Houston, they've got a front row seat, Houston did, to what those two guys can do as far as for New Orleans. West, New Orleans pulled off the upset. Again, for the Lakers, I think it all comes down to what can Rob do, and is Rob a good enough GM to make these moves? I mean, you talked about the draft and whatnot. We kid in the chat about none of these teams are going to be that stupid to give the Lakers exactly what they want, unless your name is Sacramento. Joe, we actually could have had a nice 7-footer that really would have helped us out, because Maxime Renaud, he's getting a lot of time as a rookie that was drafted after Adu Diero, and he's popping off for quite a few double-doubles in Sacramento. No one's noticing because it's Sacramento, but, just one of these misses potentially that GM Rob could have made.
All these guys that have GM'd in the league have had a dud. We always talk about the worst dud that Jerry West had.
He's not drafted well lately, though, Joe. You got to admit that.
No, not at all. No, not at all. And it's why the excitement is growing. Think about it for a second. Look how well they're playing, and they're not really glued well. Lakers are not glued together well. It's very fragmented. I don't even know if that's the right word, but they're winning because I think they're getting good coaching. Not I think they're getting good coaching. You have a megastar that's dropping a near 30-point triple double every game. I know this is going to sound funny, and I swear I'm not lying. I had no idea Luka was scoring as much as he did tonight. I forgot. I wasn't even thinking about it. It's become so normal. When I saw 38 points, I'm like, what? He has 38 points? How the hell did that happen? He has 14 assists. What? Like, when you forget a star is doing things, it's so eerily similar to Kobe. Luka doesn't play like Kobe. There's little bits and pieces of in terms of the Mamba mentality there, and of course his death-defying shots that go in. Yes, but they're completely different games, obviously. But the effect is the same, and that plays a big part on why. Because if you look at the demeanor of the other team, Luka sometimes beats these teams mentally. He just does. They're scared, even when he misses shots. We were talking about, and when I say we, I was talking about the Dodgers and Otani. And call it a stretch, call it whatever you want. It's impossible for you to prove that it's a stretch because I've watched every single game this last year, and I saw at least 140 games the year before with Otani. So I've seen almost every baseball game with Otani being a Dodger, right? And the guy affects the game without swinging the ball. He could go 0 for 4, but if you watch that Philly series, he had his fingerprints in almost every game. Whether he was winning the game as a pitcher in game one, whether he was walked intentionally, loading the bases, which is something I despise, even when the Dodgers do it. I hate walking a player into a bases loaded because now you put pressure on that pitcher to he cannot walk that guy, otherwise it's going to be a score. I hate it. But what can you do? It's Otani. If he hits a 3-run homer, you're done, right? So you're screwed. You'd rather take your chances with the other Hall of Fame 5-tool player. Well, technically, Otani's really like a 7-tool player, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So we haven't factored that in. And then when I see LeBron play the way he played tonight, and he's been playing like this lately, but tonight was absolutely phenomenal. This LeBron James tonight, if you guys haven't watched the game, watch the game. This LeBron James, in my view, there's an argument on how amazing and great he is. All
El
time.
Roast, El Rosto about Dalton Connect again. He over the weekend got a 30-point game in the G League or this past week. Hopefully that gives him confidence. Only got 4 minutes of run today, but um,
He
he's
missed a
not there
wide
for
open
defense.
3 today, too. I was like, oh, man, if he makes the – I mean, it was you know that spot
Mhm.
in NBA 2K? Hell, even in real basketball, it was that – I mean, the perfect, like, kickstand, as you know, since we're talking about Robert Ory, the whole kickstand thing. He would always say, "Once I get my kickstand up, I feel good about my release." I mean, Dalton Connect is starting to look like Sasha Vujicic so much it's becoming sad.
Well, I don't think El Rosto gets it because again, when it comes to Dalton Connect, no, they didn't draft him for defense, but he is one of the worst defenders in the NBA. You look at him, he cannot guard you, Joe, or myself out there on an NBA court. It's that bad. And if he's going to stay out there, he has to be a money guy. He has to be 40+% from beyond the arc. He has to be that guy that hits a shot. Look at guys like Luke Kennard. Look at guys like, as far as those guys that are out there that are not known as even decent defenders, but can hit 40 to 50% from three. That's who he has to be in order to stay out there, because he is, as much as we say Jared Vanderbilt is terrible on offense, Dalton Connect is even worse on the defensive end. And is, in fact, he is one of the worst. Put the eye test to it. He is one of the worst defenders in the league. And that hasn't changed. It's only gotten worse in 2 years. But the problem is his shot, Joe, has gotten worse this season. He is nowhere near the confident shooter that he once was. And you could say it's that trade that got rescinded, but that happened months ago. How much longer do we want to keep making these excuses for a guy being paid $4 million a year to play the game of basketball? At some point in time, you're going to say, okay, if it's mental, the Lakers have to sit him down and get this thing fixed. But El Roaster, you got to understand, no, we didn't get him for defense. We got him for offensive purposes. But if he cannot hold his own weight on the offensive end, he is getting, pardon the pun, roasted on the defensive end to the point where it just becomes too much of a negative. That's why he can't stay in the rotation. His shot, he's lacking his confidence. And I don't know if it'll ever come back as a member of the Lakers, but we cannot wait around. We cannot keep sitting around and waiting for him. So if it means more games in the G League where he's going off for 30 to help build his confidence, so be it. But again, when it comes to Dalton Connect, how much longer are we going to continue to go down this road? I like the kid. I saw what he did. I've told you the stories about what he did in his first summer league here. I do not like talking bad about this kid, but as a player for the Los Angeles Lakers, he just does not give you enough right now to be able to afford putting him out there, because he just doesn't hit those shots anymore, Joe, and he cannot defend to save his life. And that is the problem with Dalton Connect.
I'm going to use a comp for Connect, and happen to be a guy that the Lakers are playing tonight, Svi.
Svi,
I
short
always
arms, Svi.
is it
According to Joe
Mihailuk?
Dallas.
Is it Mihailuk? Is that how you say his
Yeah,
last name?
Mahalik.
Mahalik? Yeah.
Yeah.
So Svi Mahalik, guys. The history of Svi as a Laker is two things for me. One, he had one of the worst profile pics I've ever seen. It looked like he was dead.
Then okay, El Rosto. Good point then. Okay.
Looked like he was dead in
Good
his
job.
profile pic, Laker pic. I had a ball. I had a couple days on that in terms of jokes. The other is he could not hit the ocean falling out of a boat. I mean, it was bad. It looked like Ryan Kelly bad. That's how bad it looked.
Oh, the 3-point big man stretch
Oh,
we're supposed to
Jesus.
have?
I was so just ups because we want everybody seemed to always get that 3-point specialist in the second round or in the late first. Lakers couldn't ever get that son of a gun, right? Never could get that guy. And then he gets out of LA and he makes a career. Hell, you saw him the last 3 games in Utah making shots. Now he's making shots. I have come to this with Dalton Connect. He has to go change the scenery. I think he needs to go somewhere where there's no pressure, no focus on why he can't be good, and just be yourself. It is, without a doubt in my book, confidence. It's all confidence, because if you see that one shot today, he has a gorgeous shot. He has a great NBA physique.
The
being
form.
able to absolutely when you make a basketball player, you could use him as a mold. You could use his shot as a mold. His shot is awesome. But like Sasha, like Svi, it's more like Svi because Sasha just
But Svi has found a way to
right.
survive in this league.
Right.
Svi is like a cockroach. He keeps coming back. They keep waving him, keep sending him to the G League. He keeps bouncing around. He had a title with the Celtics. So he finds a way to survive, Joe, just like he did today with the Jazz.
Right. Now, the other part of this is I'm not upset that they rescinded that trade because they got a chance to keep the draft pick. And that's it. That's all I feel about that. That would have been a bad move in my view. Trading
for a guy that's done
because
okay
you got
Phoenix.
you've
But
got
do you
DeAndre. You
want
got
okay for what
correct.
you give up?
You got DeAndre Ayton for nothing, and you have your first round pick. To me, that is much better than getting Williams. And if Dalton Connect, let's just say Dalton Connect is still affected by it, then you know what? Your dumbass has to go. I'm sorry. Your weak ass has to go. Who are you? Who are you? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaq have been traded. Who are you to be upset if that's what it is?
And let me just say this, Joe. The third pick is saying there were fans talking about his bad defense way before that trade happened. I mean, Stone Hansen already had said that, our draft expert. Miss you, Stone. Hopefully you're doing well, my friend. Happy holidays. They said we didn't draft him for nothing. You guys saw early on, Joe, we saw early on what Dalton Connect in the right frame of mind with the right confidence could do as a scorer slash shooter for this Los Angeles Lakers, whether we're starting or coming off the bench. You saw the confidence, you saw the high end, you saw the trade off, which we were willingly glad to make. And he would be great right now, Joe, if we had that Connect playing for us coming off the bench, getting 15 to 18 points, scoring like a mad demon. But that guy is not there. The guy has not been there since that trade that got rescinded several months ago. It wasn't there through the summer. It wasn't there through training camp.
And let that be a reminder of the Lakers have to stop trying to chase the rabbit they're never going to catch. If you're able to get something that catches it comfortably, fine. And we're going to have to keep reiterating this. This new collective bargaining agreement was a gut punch, a nut punch, kick in the face in terms of movement. It's such a stupid deal that they made because they killed. This is going to be more of a problem than, I mean, again, mediocrity. This is why I get frustrated with things in life in general. Like people whining and crying about, we don't have a chance. Says who you don't have a chance? Why? Because you need a system to give you a chance? The system always screws things up. The chance has to be made by you. I'm going to go back to another Dodger lesson here. The Dodgers are being accused of spending all the money, and that's why they're winning. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is it that the Mets have spent stupid money and they didn't even make the playoffs this year? Why is it that the Yankees spend $350 million on payroll and they can't even get out of their own way? The Phillies have been trying to win every year. Can't win. Why? The Toronto Blue Jays got close. They paid Guerrero Jr. a $500 million and got everybody on that team having career years. Why is it that when the team wins finally, then you start bitching? And this is what this created. This is why I'm so just vicious against Mark Cuban. This motherfucker, I'm sorry, I have to drop that. That piece of shit stood on God knows how many times about, I'm like one of the players, one of the fans, and blah, 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 and all that bullshit. And the second he keeps getting played by by net worth, because he owned the Lakers, sure, he's a billionaire, but Dr. Buss continued to make guys like Dan Gilbert, Mr. Quicken guy, Mark Cuban, Mr. I'm a billionaire and I'm cool. That chump in San Antonio bitching every 5 minutes when the Lakers would get a trade he didn't like. All those pieces of shit who are always about the good deeds and we got to be positive and we got to do all that. Until somebody clowns your ass, now we want something to fix this. Your ass can't fix it with all your money. Look what look what Uncle Fester's dealing with. Isn't he the 10th richest man on the planet? How come his ass ain't winning? Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. So let this be a lesson. I say that to my kids all the time. Everybody laughs. But I know in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they will remember that. Hopefully I'm still around. They'll remember, damn, he had a point. Because it's not about whether I'm right or wrong. It's about what's going on. Look what happened. Look what happened with the NBA. I gave you really good examples of why the NBA has turned into a kind of a dull league. Okay, yeah, they're making money from gambling. But it's a dull league. The excitement, the one and two things that made it so fun, they got rid of, and then they replaced it with the NBA Cup. They replaced it with a stupid ass play-in where we have to watch the 10th best team in a conference of only 15 teams. How is that exciting? For what? When I spot the fake bullshit, when I spot stupid shit, more often than not, there's going to be resistance. More often than not, there's going to be eye rolls, even from my own friends. Because that's the only way they can answer. They don't have a real answer. When someone automatically makes you out to be a kook, and what are you going to tell those people? They've already made up their mind. They already want to do what the hell they want to do.
Once again, the Lakers did win 143 to 135, but great to have everyone here. Truly appreciate it. Again, we'll be back on Saturday to go ahead and take care of you on the post game. Sorry, no more playback. Playback is rest in peace. So we are trying to piece together something for as many members of our audience as possible, but it doesn't quite work out always as planned. But again, we're trying our best but we're always back for the post games. And of course, on Saturday, the Lakers head back to LA, get to stay in their nice warm beds. They get to play with their Luka Doncic given bicycles, their e-bicycles that Luka Doncic gave out. That was going to take them back after that defense in the first half, Joe. But they are going to Inglewood to the Intuit Dome to play the Clippers. Again, the Clippers lost by 20 tonight against OKC. Doesn't look good right now, and I'm enjoying every bit of it. I had a interview, my weekly interview with Caleb Ponce, who on the Swab Report did a major detailed article. Hopefully you guys get a chance to check it out on the Clippers and their fall, not just with the Chris Paul thing, but back many years he detailed. It was a really good article. And just if you're a Lakers fan, you truly enjoy it because you get to see the misery over so many years. But this season is really gone off the rails for the Lakers. But I think, again, I'm not super high on it, but if everybody starts looking at a Herb Jones or a Keon Ellis, et cetera, that all the Lakers and Laker Tom are looking for and trying to construct trades for that other teams might be interested in that have more assets, they may want to look to the Clippers because they do have some defenders there, athletic defenders. They're kind of still in their prime that they may be interested in, but that might help them out a little bit as far as getting something done on the defensive end. But your thoughts on the Clippers before we head on out? I love it, Joe. It's a disaster, and I love watching
it. Plays back to what I just said, and they were part of the problem. You have I think the 10th richest man on the planet that runs the Clippers. They just bought a new arena. They had arguably the best two-way player on the planet for 3 years. But what did that mean in the end? It doesn't matter that you have the talent. The Mets have Juan Soto. Juan Soto is phenomenal, and he's a champion already. He was a champion. So it's not like he had to go prove something. He already had won, and he'd already been a problem his entire young career. But what does it mean to win? Sports is not like running Microsoft or any corporation. The job of the corporation is to make money. That is the first option. Now, I know a lot of sports owners are about making money first. However, they have to put on at least a persona or the idea that they're not like that. See, that you don't have to do that in regular work world. First option is to win. And winning costs money. And you have to have the right pieces there too. And not only did you screw up, you traded a first ballot Hall of Famer, MVP champion, who we don't know how many this sucker's going to win, for Paul George. Oh, and draft capital from now until the end of the century. We just came into this century 25 years ago. That's how bad that trade was, because you were so fixated on winning now and showing off to the Lakers that you were the new team in town. And what are the Mets doing with the Yankees? They're poaching every player out of New York, out of the Bronx, I should say, to Queens. Their focus is still a city rivalry. Folks, this is about winning championships, not beating the in-city rival. When you worry about nonsense, you become nonsense. And you can see in both organizations, both full of money, more money than probably half the teams combined in each of their leagues. Look at the results. You're cheating or allegedly cheating. And I know a lot of these things are exaggerated. Trust me, I didn't go into this thing with whatever's going on with this. I don't even remember what it was. It's been so long. It's been a few months now. But somebody tied to this. Somebody had this. A lot of that is all just media pulling some bullshit so they can have a story. Watch, it'll end up being nothing because no one knew anything. But that's the point, guys. Just because something didn't happen didn't mean that it couldn't be avoided, because you ain't running your shit right. How the hell, if something's going on in my backyard and I don't know, or my front yard and I don't know, how the hell is that going to happen? Especially when I'm out there every other day at the latest. You want to come do some shit back there? You're going to have a problem keeping it a secret. I always say this. No one listens. They don't want to listen. If you can't take care of your own yard, shut the fuck up. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if every dictator is reincarnated to come back and be the fourth horseman of apocalypse. I don't give a shit. Shut up if you can't take care of your own yard. Ballmer can't even take care of his own yard with all that money, with all that talent that he had. Why? Why? Because there was no essence. There wasn't a focus of being great. It was, let's be better than those guys. You will never be better than the LA Lakers in 100 years. Never. You're talking about the greatest basketball franchise that's ever existed, much like the Yankees, although the Dodgers are going to test this in the next 75 years, especially if the Guggenheims stay. You're not going to outdo an entire century's worth of work. You're just not. You got to forget that. Create your own identity. You got out of that rut. You got rid of that racist pig piece of shit. You got a really good owner at the time. I said, Ballmer's a good guy. I've never heard anything bad about him. He's one of the few guys that I heard that's a billionaire that's actually cool to people, right? I thought, hey man, that's gonna be scary now. If this guy's gonna, be like Dr. Bus of this era, then we're gonna have a problem. But it didn't. He didn't. He succumbed to Uncle Dennis. You let some guy named Uncle Dennis play your billionaire ass? Really? I don't even have 1/4 of the money this guy has. If somebody like Uncle Dennis came in and tried to tell me what to do, I'd be like, what? Who the fuck are you? Get out. We'll go another route. We don't need Kawhi Leonard. I'm being dead straight with you on that. If that would have been the first impression, like, why am I going to deal with this fucking guy? Look what he's done. All this happened because you listened to that guy. Some guy named Uncle Dennis. I mean, the name Dennis is already bad, let alone with the uncle in front of it. I'm going to get played by some guy named Dennis? So, I don't... The older I get, the better I get. And I say this not to be arrogant, not to boast, but I've said this so many times to all the people I know. I know what time it is. And I've known what time it is a very, very long time. There's nothing you're going to tell me that's going to make sense or not make sense in some way. When I say it doesn't make sense, it'd be something that I don't know. You're talking rocket science? You're talking about chemistry? I don't know. But if it's something I do know, and a lot of it is tied to worldly experience, hey, man, might want to be careful with that. However, no risk without reward, right? Sometimes you got to go into something, hey, man, this might work and it might not, but I'm going to risk it. Okay. It doesn't work. Hey, I knew what I was going to get into. I knew that this might be a scam or whatever. But at least you went into it with some common sense. Hey, what if it's not? I'm going to take the consequences. And then you do it. And that's life. But I would really, really be upset with myself. I mean, forever, if I got played by a guy that I still don't even know what the hell he looks like. Just having the name, the fact that he asked for some of the things he asked for. The Juan Soto thing. This motherfucker asked for a clothing allowance for his mother because $800 million wasn't enough. Once again, Stephen Cohen, billionaire, more money than any owner in baseball. Look at the results, folks. Don't listen to me. Look at the results. I don't give a shit how rich you are, how good looking you are. I don't care how many boats you have. The results, where it matters, matters. Stop getting fixated by money. Money doesn't do shit. I've had it and I've not had it. And believe me when I say this, and I haven't had $1 billion, obviously, but that's not the point. I can buy whatever I want. I don't need a yacht. I don't need a 4 billion square foot house. I can buy anything I want. Anytime I want something, I go buy it. To me, that's rich. I can go buy a car right now that I want, buy whatever I want. But the point of this is stop thinking that way. Is it quality? Is it going to get results? Well, look what Oklahoma City's done. Look what the Dodgers have done. Look at their system. And those are two different systems. LA, Oklahoma City still work. Why? Because they actually have the same concept of how to build. You build through the draft. You build through that farm system. And then you sign the guys that you need. Guys like Hartenstein. Guys like trading for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and taking somebody for what they are. Instead of, I guarantee you, man, if this was LA that did this shit, everybody would be like, we need to have a hard cap in the NBA. Forget about the aprons. Just have a hard cap because losers talk about what winners are doing. I did a segment on this in my last show. Winners breed loser culture around it. Because losers always have to find an excuse on why they're losers. It's always, oh, he has more money. Oh, he's good looking. Oh, they got screwed. And I'm not saying that this shit doesn't happen. But there are times when it doesn't. So why would you soil that? The button on this tonight is you have seen over the last, what is it now, 6 seasons, Gerald? You've seen 6 seasons of the LA Clippers accomplish dick. Not one finals appearance, one
conference finals
that they blew a 3-1 lead. I'm sorry, semi-conference finals that they blew a 3-1 lead, which we were excited about that Western Conference Finals, and then one
but
conference finals appearance.
Right.
So that is the results of a billionaire owner, a dipshit agent, Uncle Dennis, and a deaf mute, I don't know what the fuck he is, Kawhi Leonard, that completely destroyed a franchise that was already destroyed. And to boot, you had a guy that was more interested in pussy than he was in playing in the bubble to win a championship, Mr. Paul George. He cared more about women than he cared about playing basketball and winning a championship. And that's something that when I talk about why I will never be able to go mainstream, why I don't want to ever go mainstream, it's because imagine saying that to Paul George's face. Because so many kiss his ass because he's rich and he's famous, and all you dipshits who kiss these guys' ass. I have admiration for a lot of these guys, but I also don't give a fuck who they are, how rich they are, where they come from, or what they look like. Paul George did what he did there, right? That's exactly what he did. I didn't make it up. It's out there. It's already there. It's already. I mean, I guess there's no 100% proof, but I didn't hear any denial. You signed up for that, Ballmer. You're supposed to be the rich guy, right? You have all the resources. You can go in and get the shrinks that you want. You can go get all that analytic, bookworm, mathematical, geeks to do all that shit for you. I'll still be able to figure something out probably 10 seconds faster than you will. And that's only 1 second for me total, by the way. And I'm not saying that to boast. Again, it's in the results. And I've asked you guys, those who are local, obviously, you hang out with me for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks. Drive with me to work, back and forth, hang out with me. You'll see. It's not a lie, man. My life doesn't look nearly as good as I say. It's actually better. And the reason why, Gerald, is because of things like that. It really is. I snuff out bullshit 24/7, even in my sleep. I'm sure I do it in my dreams. What the hell is Mark and SB talking about over here?
They're used. Do you?
First of all, was talking shit, and then now they're dropping cum ball.
They're talking about each other.
What the hell what's going on over here, man?
All right, but before we head on out, I do want to answer a couple questions I got. Again, I asked a guy a question on the Clippers. That's what I got. But again, I'm glad you guys were able to hear that. But before we head on out, did want to mention Derek asked for our favorite NFL teams. Joe is tried and true Pittsburgh Steelers. He's actually done shows on his channel, the Joe Soro Experiment, on the Steelers by themselves, but he loves talking Steelers anytime, especially, of course, their coach, which we will not name right now because that just gets him even more angry, and we'll have another 30-minute segment on that if we do. Myself, it was the Raiders back when they were in LA, but they broke my heart. Yes, I know they're here in Las Vegas with me, but and I do go see 2 to 3 games a year, depending on how many comps I get from time to time when they become available. but I just don't have the heart in it like I once did as far as a favorite NFL team. I just like the sport. I like the game, and I cover it each week with Chris Lardieri. Sometimes Joe pops in Inside Sports Fantasy Football. We actually had a good show this week, and if you're a member, you get to see it. Otherwise, you can listen to it. That's available now on the Inside Sports Fantasy Football channel. But you can even see it if you're a Lakers Fast Break member right now. And our thoughts on NFL Week 16. I have a great time talking to him about what's going on in the league because there's always something good there. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I'm fighting for the title here in several leagues. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that will go. But El Rosto, finishing off, he said, name 5 targets in the trade market for us that are gettable. And so while Joe was talking, I came up with a couple. I thought if you look towards Chicago, no, not Josh Giddey, Mark. I know Josh Giddey is untouchable right now. He's playing very well despite the team's slide so far this season from what they started at. But if you could get a deal with Kobe White and Io DeSunmu, who are both in the final year of the contracts. One provides a lot of offense, could get you 20 points off the bench, and Kobe White, and Io DeSumu plays great defense, or really good defense, I should say. I don't want to say great, but really good defense because it's Chicago. Those could be options there. Or, like I mentioned with the Clippers, if you want to go that route, like I mentioned with the Clippers, and you want to go there, again, I mentioned Derek Jones Jr., Chris Dunn. You could try to work out a deal for them. They would probably want you to choke on Brook Lopez's contract, which is only for the rest of the season. But, if that would be the case, I mean, I could live with that. Again, those would be defensive, athletic individuals helping the team as well. If you want to go to Portland, Robert Williams, there would be someone there would be interested in, as far as if you could see if he could stand upright. And so far this season, he's been able to stand upright, which is good right there. If you want a defender there that can help you as far as rim protection is concerned. I don't know. Matisse Thybulle is another Jared Vanderbilt as far as on the offensive end, but defensively, he is another Jared Vanderbilt. So if you want to go that route, you could do that as well. Keon Ellis, again, I mentioned him earlier, but if Keon Ellis becomes available in Sacramento, I think a lot of people would be interested in him because he just seems to be undervalued and underused in Sacramento, and I can't understand why. But again, I don't follow them as closely as a Sacramento fan does, so we'd have to understand why that is. But he seems to be just persona non grata sometimes. And last but not least, I know he had a good game tonight, but next thing you know, you'll find him on the bench. Sometimes he starts, sometimes he doesn't. For Miami, Khalil Ware, if you actually could pry Khalil Ware out of Miami, that I think would be a real coup for Rob. So there's 5 targets that I would, kind of look at. But do you have any targets outside, of course, New Orleans? I mean, if they came knocking and said, "What do you want for Trey Murphy or Herb Jones?" Yeah, of course, you got to listen for that one. But I just think if those guys became available, we would be outbid by other teams. But is there anybody that you're trying to throw in as well on that, Joe?
Based off need, New Orleans obviously is always the number one on the list that is most likely going to provide some talent before the deadline. We're all pretty sure of that. And then you have the usual suspects that say Andrew Wiggins out in Miami. Then you have uh, Anthony Black in Orlando. We've talked about in the past.
He's
Wild
playing
card.
well. I don't think Orlando's going to give him up.
Yeah, I know. The wild card, and I'm saying that because I'm thinking to myself, what if Orlando hits the skids?
Boy, I would love to get Suggs on this team.
Because there's been some talk, especially now with the way the East is sitting. Then Orlando's not playing bad, but I think Orlando's. I'm not saying they're getting impatient, but Banchero I think they're thinking that they should be better than they are now, especially
Well,
with
they
the
should be, but
acquisition.
their extensions all kick in next year
Right.
along with the paying for Desmond Bane.
So now, when does the economics of this thing start to rear its head? So let's say Orlando is 30-24, which is just basically double what they are now. Right now, I think they're 15 games, 12 losses. Again, in the East, it's a free for all. Like, we don't even know who the hell is going to come out of there, right?
Yeah.
Especially now with the reports saying that Jason Tatum might be back, but I don't think that's a good idea. But again,
Somebody wins 4 or 5 games in a row from that 3 to 10 spot, they
yeah.
could find themselves in 3rd or 4th
I
place
think
and
this
be
should be the
strong.
Knicks year, in my view, but we don't know. I think it's time for them to make it to the finals out of the East. I
They're
think
playing
everything's
well right
opened up for
now.
them. They're playing well. They have the momentum. They have the talent. They have the easy kind of path in that conference. But what happens if Orlando starts to feel, you know what, we may need to readjust this a little bit? They may not think that. They may think, hey, man, maybe we can get to the second round and get some good playoff money for the concessions, blah blah blah, whatever, right? But I have a wild card in my head. This is just something that came out recently in my head, and we know that there's some stuff brewing over there, which is what if Memphis finally says, F this, we're done. Now, they're not likely going to say it based off of where they are now. They're actually playing rather well lately. But what if they don't make the playoffs, or it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs in February before the deadline? What if Mark Walters says, hey, I want you to give a call to Memphis and see if Jaren Jackson Jr. is available? He's only making 35 this year. Yeah, he's got an extended contract, but that's a pillar that you like to even out what you have with a heliocentric Luka type team, right? Not likely to happen, but imagine if they're able to pull a Jalen Jackson Jr. and then you set him next to DeAndre Ayton.
But you know who he reminds me of, Joe? Is someone we talked about earlier, the Robert Ory, Rasheed Wallace type, where you just like this year, you just see he can do more. He signs that big fat contract and just looks like he's sleepwalking through the season.
True, but he's not having to be the second best player on his team. He'll be the fourth best player on this team.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
And you might be asking, why would Memphis make that trade, right? Well, he's owed
To get off the
$200
money
million, almost $200 million in the next 4 seasons.
for a 17-point a game player. It's
And I don't know if I want to put Triple J in that category. I know that Robert Ory is much more prestige with his 7 rings and clutch shots and all that. But
in the sense that
this man is the defensive player of the year. Like, he has won a major award in his time.
You just think there's more. I just think that when I saw Robert Ory, when I saw Rasheed Wallace, when I see Triple J, the talent is there for more. And I just don't understand why it's just
Now,
not.
here's another thing to look at. You can't look at this two-dimensionally. You got to look at it.
Ory always saved the stuff for the playoffs.
Yeah, I can't compare Triple J to Robert Ory. I think they're different. There's different products there. Triple J's won a major award, whereas Robert Ory would have never won an MVP or a Defensive Player of the Year award. He was the perfect role player. Triple J is a major cog. The guy won, again, Defensive Player of the Year. That's the second best award in basketball.
He seems to be cruising quite a bit, Joe.
However,
who did
by getting him, you now have a young player who's making big money that you can use, should it not work out, to go get that player who quote unquote demands to come to LA before they're able to sign somebody, let's say. It opens up a couple things there. Again, we've had this discussion about who are the Lakers going to get? And I've had this discussion on my show. I've had friends of mine ask me, hey, who's available? And we keep going to the same thing over and over again. Oh, let's go see Herb Jones. Oh, let's go Trey Murphy Jr. Oh, let's figure out if we can go get Sabonis out of Sacramento. Like all these guys. And I'm sitting there going, there's got to be something else that makes sense for everything. And finally, I'm like, all right, who is likely to finally give up if they hit the wall? And Memphis has been kind of one of those ticking time bombs because of Mr. John Morant. If John Morant goes AWOL in the next couple of weeks and everything goes to shit, what are they going to do then? So that's my straight flush. That's my straight flush pick because I'm thinking of it this way. Memphis hits the wall. Memphis finally gets tired and is going to start dumping contracts and start fresh. Lakers get a defensive player of the year in his prime to back up LeBron, Luka, and Austin. You want to have a better shot at winning a title. I don't know any other way realistically to do it other than that possible wild card that could present itself, and there's a comfortable way of making it work without going, oh shit, we need to go get Giannis that's making 60 mil. You're not going to get Giannis right now. You don't have enough stuff. The only reason why Memphis would trade him is to get something back, but it wouldn't be much. But they want to get rid of that 4-year, $200 million contract that's left. Well, after half the season, obviously, prorated.
Well, there you have it. There's your thoughts out there as far as given by Joe Soro and myself as far as what you guys are asking for questions. Great questions. Appreciate also the super chats tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. It is the Lakers winning 143-135. I don't know if there's going to be a Lakerholics. I don't know how long there's going to be a Lakerholics. Going back and forth on the future of the site and what's going on there. So if you like Lakerholics.com, please go ahead and visit while you still can. But we'll have to wait and see how long that may be. But again, I don't know if they're doing a show this weekend. Nobody's said anything. But Joe and I will be here hopefully on Saturday. Joe, a great show, 2 hours plus. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
I think I've given all my thoughts tonight.
I think you have, indeed. I think you have. Good thing I didn't ask for your thoughts on.
Well, again, I didn't anticipate the LA Clipper question, but I was secretly subconsciously in the back of my mind ready to unleash on those clowns. And
a clip.
And it was and that team is the perfect example of why numbnuts out there who are loser scumbags yapping about excuses on why their team and their owners are cheap fucks and why our teams are the perennials every year. Even when they're not winning championships, they're still competing. They're still productive. You don't like winners. You don't like well-run organizations. And I say that loosely considering what's happened here with Jeannie and Rob. But in the end, this is the one thing that I do love about the Lakers no matter what. They always adjust. One way or the other, they adjust. The last time they were in turmoil in terms of decision-making and all that was the mid-2000s. Kobe's prime was being wasted. And then they finally were able to correct it. And then we saw some of the best basketball between 2008 and 2012. So I hope you all learned something from this. So I meant it deep down. This is it's for someone, it's for those few that will learn from it. I'm not expecting hardly anybody to understand it because people are weak, people are stupid, and people are selfish, and they're only about how they feel. We've created a society of pussies, and every generation it gets worse and worse because all these pussies keep wanting what they want without effort. And when they find out, when they get into the real world, that's when they start turning. That's when they start blaming everybody for everything. Even as something mundane as cheering for a team, cheering for some baseball team or some basketball team that has no effect on their life really other than an emotional one, right? But it's a good lesson to learn. Learn from it. Calling the Dodgers the evil empire. I'm laughing my ass off sitting there going, why would you even think of that? It's so that's how I know you're not thinking. You're gonna call Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts an evil empire? You have I use this example. Walker Buehler, when he closed out the Yankees last year for the World Series, the first thing that came out of his mouth was Clayton Kershaw. He wasn't even talking about himself. He's like, what would he didn't even mention his name? He goes, what would 22 do? You're telling me that's an evil empire? That man has been the identity of the Dodgers for 18 seasons, and you still had guys 20 years his junior going, what would 22 do? Even though he wasn't on the playoff roster that year, what would 22 do? You tell me that's evil? No, that's greatness. That's greatness. When you can connect with everyone, back-to-back champions, best farm system, best roster, best player on the planet, best players on the planet, Hall of Famers up and down the freaking line, and they're going to keep winning, and you're going to have to suck it, eat it, and drink it, and shit it out because it ain't to stop. And guess what? Guess what? Lakers are going to be there again. Get ready. Ding, ding.
Once again, the Lakers win 143-135. They're now 19-7 on the season, tied for third place in the Western Conference with San Antonio. I do want to give two last shout outs to, of course, our main man at Trip Show Shop on Instagram and Twitter. I know whatever it is that you would order will not make Christmas, but you know what? Right there for you with a hat like Joe has. He made this for me with Kobe and Gigi. El Rosto pointed out the Kobe and the Luka canvas art that are right behind me. He makes posters, T-shirts, you name it. And it's not just sports teams, pop culture items. Just mention what you want, and you could still go ahead and say, you know what? I'm giving this to you as a gift. You could go ahead and show whoever it is in your life that you'd want to give a great present like this to, and go right there. I ordered this for you. It'll be coming very soon. So you start off with following at Trip Show Shop on Instagram and Twitter, and go ahead and make their Christmas dreams come true with a great original gift in pop culture or sports from our friend at Trip Show Shop right there on Instagram and Twitter. And then, of course, also as well, want to give a big shout out to John Costa at Lakers Corner. Hopefully he'll be back. He's had a little bit of a rough time right now, busy time dealing with a whole lot of stuff. So he couldn't make it to the show tonight. But go ahead and check out Lakers Corner. Past couple of 3-minute recaps might be someone you guys are very familiar with that did the 3-minute recaps for him. So take a look, watch it, like and subscribe. He does a great job there. And sometimes the guys who are there with him, like if he interviews Joe or he has somebody step in for him for his 3-minute reports, do a great job there as well. But again, we will be back on Saturday night. Whether or not any Lakerholics are here, we're still here to provide you some holiday cheer as only we can. Rants, Grinches, nah. We got you covered. With Lakers as they win once again. Will they win on Saturday at the Intuit Dome? We'll find out as part of what we do on a great Lakers holiday weekend at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
SB, record this.
I don't even want to tell you what that sounded like.